The business community has called for the new parliament and government to be aggressive in the passage of bills and the introduction of policies that will improve the competitiveness of businesses. We hear first from the CEO of the AGI, Sechum Akufo-Addo, after which the Chamber of Commerce's CEO, the president of Mark Bedo-Abuaje.
To be very competitive. If you are not competitive, others will take your market. Even your local market will be taken away with imports from abroad. So you've got to be competitive. But being competitive means that you must have the factors of production in the most efficient manner. You must produce at a price that is very good. It means that your cost of production must be really low and competitive. Great. If you are borrowing at a very high interest cost, if you are buying electricity at a very high cost, if you are paying labor at a very high cost, then you have a challenge in being competitive. So if you ask me what has been the reason for manufacturing lagging behind, it is because our environment for manufacturing has not been conducive enough.
We are encouraging them to work together, because anything apart from that will be detrimental to Ghana and also to the economy of Ghana. We are hopeful that in the years to come, a lot of the bills, business-related bills, will go there, and they should look at it in the interest of Ghana and not in any partisan interest, because anything that will affect the private sector will also largely affect the economy of Ghana and the people of Ghana. So we are looking forward to a situation where both the NDC and the MPP will work consensuously on issues that come to them. Of course, the budget for 2021 up to 2024 from the president will go to parliament, and most of the things are issues that affect the private sector in terms of how they are going to manage the economy, how they are going to build a very robust economy, stable exchange rate, lower inflation, the revenues and the expenditures, and also debt related to Ghana's economy. So they should look at it largely in the interest of Ghana, and I hope that if they do that, Ghana will be the winner. We need peace. We need an environment that will help the private sector to try. In fact, one of the main reasons why somebody will invest in the economy is to where they have peace and where they have a secured environment. The reason why we have had a lot of FDI, among others, is that people feel that we have a secured environment, we have a peaceful environment, so they feel comfortable investing in the country.
Well, we're joined via Zoom by economic researcher with Data Bank, Courage Boti. Courage, grateful that you joined us. So, of course, first of all, the president's, statement is focused on stabilizing on the economy, job creation. Your reactions?
Yeah, good afternoon to your listeners. And very well so, it has to be about stabilizing the economy and job creation, because one, they have made some progress from the very beginning. With the restoration of macro stability somehow. You see the trends of inflation, exchange rate growth, and all the other key headline indicators have improved over their term. But for this final year, 2020, going into 2021, the COVID ravages actually unwinded most of those gains. And now there is a need to rebuild those fundamentals going forward. And that is the basis on which you can continue to attract FDIs. If you look at it during the period 2017 to 2019, Ghana has been a top destination for FDIs in Africa. Part of the reason has been the macro fundamentals that have become a bit more stable, and then, of course, the stable political environment. And so going forward, if you are to sustain that, to attract the right investment into the right sectors, then you need to ensure that the macro fundamentals are restored again. And then, of course, you must sustain the political atmosphere to continue to attract those investments.
Well, it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting you talked about the need for us to get the macro fundamentals right in the first of instances, because President Akufo-Addo has also intimated that this year is the second year for roads. Huge investment in infrastructure, even though we know expenditure has been overstretched. How best can you explore the funding availability for this government under this constraint of time?
Well, on funding, you see, the challenge has been, the reason they haven't really done enough infrastructure projects, I believe, is that the discretionary items on the budget that needs to be taken, non-discretionary items on the budget that needs to be taken care of actually end up consuming a chunk of the budget allocation. And that is because we haven't been able to mobilize enough revenue. Over the 4-year period, you've seen the vice president in particularly championing an agenda to digitize the economy. You've seen the rollout of Ghana Card. You've seen a TIN number registration. You've seen the digital addressing, and you've seen an attempt to ensure financial inclusiveness with the interoperability project. What I expect as a way of freeing money or trying to generate enough to take care of the non-discretionary items so that our borrowing can be channeled towards the kind of infrastructure programs they envisage will be that consolidate this digitization agenda. All of the Ghana card staff and then TIN numbers do not bring in money. If you consolidate them and find a system of using all of them to make sure that you identify the right taxes and collect them from the right sources, what it does is that you raise enough tax revenue to take care of the non-discretionary expenditure items. Then when you go to the capital market to borrow, say, $3 billion, $4 billion, $5 billion, you are channeling into capital projects like the road infrastructure, the industrialization project that can have long-term benefits for the nation. I think that is a way, I think if they go about it, it can be successful.
Courage, we're having this discussion on the back of a World Bank report, which is somewhat downgrading our growth pattern for this year. What do you consider the economic hurdles for this second administration of President Akufo-Addo?
The hurdles really would have to be, one, you see, I'm looking towards how the recovery plan from this COVID pandemic is. Mind you, the downgrade from the World Bank is actually on the back of the COVID shocks and then how they think we could be able to recover from it. Exactly. It looks like to them, the pace of recovery hasn't been that fast. And then you look at it particularly that we may struggle to even get a 0.9% growth this year. It's only reasonable to taper your expectations. Now, the plan for government has been the Ghana Cares project, which is actually focused on the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda, industrialization, and supporting enterprises. For instance, during this COVID period, you see a sector like agriculture coming through it quite nicely, 8.3% growth in Q3, and it has sustained its growth all through the year, whereas all the other sectors are struggling. And so you started a program of planting for food and jobs that has been extended to planting for export, planting rearing for food and jobs.
Exactly.
And of course,
so we do know these are interventionary reforms, but what do you consider the hurdles moving forward?
So the hurdles moving forward, I believe, is how to raise the appropriate revenues or the resources to invest in the key sectors to recover growth. Those are the head, and that is where I am coming from, that with all of these initiatives, if you do not find appropriate funding and the right use of funding for these initiatives, you may stampede growth. And so they need to find appropriate resources and channel them to targeted sectors that have the highest capability to enhance the growth of the nation. If it's money for all, like we're spreading it all across without any consolidation in any sector, we may not realize the kind of growth and we may end up suffering in the end. So targeted spending is what I think would take us out of the quagmire.
Great. Courage Botu, we're so grateful that he joined us. He's a research analyst with Data Bank, expressing an assessment of Akufo-Addo's commitment to a stronger economy moving forward.